This week's edition of NJBIA's Minding Your Business is brought to you in part by AT&T, helping family, friends, and neighbors connect in meaningful ways every day. By New Jersey's community colleges, aligning education to build an innovative workforce. Find out how your business can benefit at njpathways.org. And by New Jersey Business Magazine, providing critical information needs for New Jersey's business community for more than 67 years.
Welcome to NJBIA's Minding Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, we're halfway through the year, and two new members of NJBIA's Government Affairs team have already made their mark in the Trenton State House. So we caught up with NJBIA's Research Analyst Jack Ramirez and Policy Analyst Jack Kelly in a segment that we're calling New Jack Swing. And even though it's highly unlikely either of them is familiar with what that reference actually means, let's see what they had to say about their respective policy areas. Have a look. All right, Jack Ramirez, Jack Kelly, thank you so much, guys, for being here. You've done an outstanding job at the State House. I wanted to get into how you first got to BIA. Jack Ramirez, you've been here, what, now a year?
Yes, officially a year.
Okay, and you were going to Rutgers.
Yep,
okay.
In New Brunswick.
Okay, and what did you study there?
I studied political science.
Political science, that makes sense. And you were the youngest elected and longest serving student body president?
It was an honor of my lifetime.
Really? So
Indeed.
What was that like?
So, I mean, I have to be honest with you, Bob, it was an uphill battle at first.
Really?
I was heading into it. I always knew from the day that I got to Rutgers, I wanted to give back to that community. Mm-hmm. I mean, close to 40,000 students, isolated across two towns, Piscataway and New Brunswick. And I wanted to make sure that everybody felt in touch with each other, that despite being such a large Big Ten university, you can find your community there. Mm-hmm. And so I got involved with the Rutgers University Student Assembly very early on as a College Avenue representative. And I quickly knew that leadership was the route that I wanted to go in order to make change.
Right.
And so come my sophomore year, I decided to take the risk, despite all odds and everybody saying, don't do it,
right.
wait your turn, it's always a senior.
Right.
And I decided to launch my campaign for being student body president. And thankfully, I have to give full credit to my fraternity, Sigma Chi, my friend groups, my professors. Really, it was a team effort.
Right. They're all watching right now.
Indeed.
No, but it's a great setup for what you're doing now, I would think. It was a great kind of experience for what you're doing now in Trenton. So
definitely. Yeah. I think that it's really helped me understand different perspectives. Right. And it gave me an early on experience to how to negotiate difficult topics or handle tense situations.
Right.
So I often revert back to the skills and lessons that I learned there, whether it's from my advisors, my cabinet, or just members of the legislature and community. Mm-hmm. There was always different perspectives that I was always trying to take in.
Okay, and Jack Kelly, you went to Loyola University of Baltimore, right?
Correct.
What was that experience like for you?
It was great. It was nice to be in Baltimore and to see a little bit of a different community than what I'm used to in my little bubble in Bucks County. But after I graduated, I started working in the congressional district that I grew up in.
Right.
For Congressman Fitzpatrick.
Right.
Fitzpatrick is turned into a brand in Bucks County for good reason. He's the #1 most independent legislator in the nation, and that is a fact. That is not an opinion.
Is that based on his policy votes?
Yes, that's based off of how he votes and his bipartisanship levels across Congress.
So Jack Ramirez, let's go into, you were a child actor too before any of this started?
I was, that's where I get
Do we get footage of this?
I hope so. Hey, if you look at Six Flags back about a decade ago, I'm sure you could pull it back.
Right, and Jack Kelly, were you ever a child actor?
I was not a child actor.
You did hockey though, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, what'd you play?
I played defenseman for a little while, and then if I was on the power play, I'd stand in front of the net and try not to get hit with any pucks.
That's right. Totally different thing. So let's get into, by the way, Jack Ramirez, I'm sorry, you also worked for Christy Houlihan, right?
I did. I interned for her for a little bit and then worked on her campaign.
Yeah.
So that was absolutely amazing.
It's funny to hear you guys talk because you kind of have similar backgrounds, different approaches. You know, I think Jack Kelly, you're a little more reserved. You're a little more, Jack Ramirez, a little more, I guess, gregarious, outgoing. What is it like when you're meeting the legislators and you're in the Trenton State House? How do they approach you? Are they kind because you're young? Are they dismissive because you're young? What's the situation?
I'll be honest with you, Bob. It's really a gamble when you walk into the State House every day. You know, you never know what you're going to get, especially dealing with the issues that we talk about and we advocate for. Oftentimes they can range from very lighthearted conversations about the TV shows that you're watching, or relating to their kids more than themselves. But then, of course, at the same time, we have a job to do, and the thing that I love about NJBIA is that at the end of the day, it is about business, and so we make sure that those conversations do happen. But going back to your question, definitely not without some of those eyebrow raisers.
Yeah. And what do you think, Jack?
It's definitely mixed how we're received. I think we are the Jacks in Trenton. We're probably the youngest guys in most rooms that we're in. So you need to have a cadence about you that's more humble, even though we're supposed to be the experts on certain issue areas, which I believe we are, and we're obviously learning in quick fashion. But the humility there, because they've given their lives to public service, and we're about to. But obviously, time needs to be told, and we need to keep moving forward.
Yeah, Jack. One more thing, just going on your background, I forgot to mention your grandfather was a served in World War II, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And you're named after him?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so tell me about him. He was like a fighter pilot, right?
Yes, he flew a B-17 in World War II. He flew about 33 combat missions in 3 months at the age of 21 years old. Yep. Came home, settled down in Bucks County. I'm fourth generation or third generation, not very good at math, which is why we're in politics. But yeah,
we're not sure they're great at math either.
So. Well, if you look at the budget, obviously there's some holes there. Topic for another day. But yeah, it obviously hits very close to home, having relatives that have served, and if I can, pick up where they left off in any fashion, I think this is it. I'm happy to do so.
That's great. And I did want to go back to the young person thing, because I'm curious, as Gen Zers, the three of us, I know what it's like to deal with young people and talk about policy and politics. How do you find it? Are they curious about it? Are they bored to tears by it? What's the situation?
I think
your peers.
Definitely, no. I think that there's a growing sense of acknowledgement that you have to get involved.
Right.
An analogy that was given to me the other day, it really resonated and hit home, and I've been saying it to everybody.
Right.
In order to play the lottery, you have to buy a Powerball ticket. And it's so true. In order to really have a stake in the game in politics, you have to participate in it. That means showing up to town halls. That means going to vote. That means asking the tough questions to the people that serve you in the bodies, in the legislative bodies and executive branches. And so I think that there's an ever-growing trend across our generation, and I think social media has helped out with that. I think we have seen success stories, and we've also seen stories of times where legislators need to be held accountable. And so definitely I think that there's a growing sense of yearning to get involved.
Yeah, no cap.
That was a good one, Bob.
Thank you. Like I said, we're all peers here.
We are Gen Zers, all three of us.
All three.
I think it's kind of a loaded question. It depends on how engaged somebody wants to get. Obviously, partisan politics and populism, it's kind of easy to find your way on either side of those issues, but to have in-depth policy conversations where I think the most change can be effectuated, but a lot of that slips through the cracks. So being informed and trying to, think for yourselves, which is obviously difficult in this environment, especially with social media and some of the echo chambers that we find ourselves in. There's not a lot of cross-pollination when it comes to partisan politics and critical thinking. And there are obviously some barriers there as well for our generation that you guys might not have experienced. So,
fortunately, I never thought that critically, so it didn't happen.
Well, you're also a Gen Zer, so you grew up
exactly
in the same climate that we did.
Yep, I'm definitely Riz. So let's talk about your area, Jack, Telly. Kind of labor is your forte for BIA. What's some of the big policy discussions going on in your world right now?
First and foremost, and probably the highest priority for us thus far, has been the ABC independent contractor rule.
Yep.
It's been around for quite some time. Framework-wise, it's been around since 1936, actually. Right. It originated from an entirely different economic era, the New Deal era. Social welfare programs were just becoming a thing. Worker protections were non-existent. Fast forward to today, New Jersey has the best worker protections in the country, right. A part of a handful of other states. So taking a framework that originated from a different era and applying it today obviously has its shortcomings that we've tried to discuss with the legislature, and we're still gauging the appetite moving forward for some broader reform to make sure that true independent contractors don't get brought into the scope and lose their opportunity to participate in the workforce.
Yeah, and so for the audience, Governor Shell had basically enacted a rule that would basically change the definition of what made an independent contractor versus a worker. So it's, in essence, it's more difficult to be an independent contractor in New Jersey. And I think she surprised a lot of people that she actually did it. So where do you think this is going? There's 120 days before the rule becomes official? Correct,
yeah. October 1st is when it becomes official. I was surprised as well with the governor's actions, but she also gave, she threw us a bone, sending it over to the legislature for 120 days. Right. So they're obviously going to feel the repercussions of whatever decision they make moving forward after October 1st, a little bit more than the governor's office. I think that was partly by design as well. So we're hoping to keep the momentum before that deadline. Right, and I think I've seen you speak on some bills that look for exemptions, and I guess by their very nature, that they need these bills is explaining why it's not such a good idea to do it in the first place, correct? Exactly. If traditionally recognized independent contractors are brought into the scope of these rules, and they're not intended to be brought into that scope, then that obviously shows that the framework itself is flawed. And the existence of Senator Johnson's carve-out bill, which could be the carve-out carrier that hundreds of industries will be brought into. Right. If that moves parallel to a broader reform bill, that's probably best case scenario, because in the 30 to 45 day window when we get back from October and July recess, then will there be enough time to get 100 plus carve-outs into the place that California got after a few years? Probably not. So we need to address the underlying framework before industries. All right, now Jack Ramirez, your big area, you're a research analyst by name, by title. But you go into policy for sure. And so what's going on with data centers? This is like the big hot topic, and you're right in the middle of it. So tell us what's going on with data centers.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that question, Bob. Yeah. And I think that it's an ever-growing topic. I think it'll continue to be a relevant conversation as we head into the fall and into next year's elections at the state level. But then, continuously we'll see it from elections here on out. The fact of the matter is, there are some concerns that advocates, particularly the environmental advocates, have regarding its environmental impact, its economic impact, and the noise that it makes. Now, I'm not going to dismiss those flat out. I think that there is some validity to those concerns, but the fact of the matter is that every industry has qualms, and we need to recognize that. And this industry has, with the AI boom, it's so easy to look at it and say, wow, these centers have just recently come into the last 4 to 5 years. But the fact of the matter is, data centers have been here for decades. They're an essential part of our technological lives in this technology era that we're in today. And so a lot of the advocacy that NJBIA is doing revolves around the fact that we need to really make sure that we are being meticulous and smart with the policies that we put forth. We can't just ban these centers flat out. There cannot be a national or state level moratorium, but rather bring stakeholders to the table together and really come up with smart policies.
Yeah, and I guess transparency is a big thing here for what I get. Not all AI data centers are the same, right? I mean, they're not all built equally. And is it fair to say that they've had a lot of progress in terms of how much energy or how much noise they made 10 years ago compared to now?
Significantly, Bob, and thank you so much for bringing that up. I think that that's a really big piece of the puzzle that many people are missing.
Right.
That innovation is happening in this industry every single day.
Right.
And the technology that we had even a year ago is not the technology that we're using today.
Yeah.
Water usage has dropped significantly to the
Right.
point where I just saw this fact the other day. America loses more water through leaky pipes
Right.
than it does the entire data center industry across the nation.
Wow.
And so that's just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
Let's
I'm
look
losing more water right now.
Exactly. And so let's look at the other piece of the puzzle, the energy fact of the matter. I mean, people, advocates always say that we need to utilize more renewable energies. The fact of the matter is data centers are an integral part of getting to that end goal. They are one of the most efficient and clean energy, clean energy users across the country. And so it's only going to continue getting more efficient, more effective, and who knows where it's going to take us.
And as we wind up, Jack, what's the risk of if we lose pace with other states in terms of AI data centers?
Definitely. So the fact of the matter is that there is billions of dollars worth of investments in this industry, and it's going to continue to grow. It is an emerging industry still to this day, and we're going to just be missing out.
Right.
People often look at the energy concerns and they say, my rates are going up. And I think everybody understands that, everybody feels that, everybody pays the energy bills at the end of the day.
Okay.
But what people need to understand is that we're on a regional grid.
Yep.
And whether this data center is in New Jersey or this data center is in Pennsylvania, New York, Virginia, we share a grid thanks to PJM, our regional grid manager.
Right. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks to Jack Kelly and Jack Ramirez for the great job they're doing in Trenton for New Jersey's business community, and for joining us today. We'll be back right after this.
From the Great Plains to the Great Lakes and all across America, AT&T is bringing communities closer together by investing in our communications infrastructure. And we're helping America stay connected when it's needed most, giving first responders the critical communications they need when lives are at stake, and helping communities weather whatever comes their way. Working every day in every state to connect more people to more opportunities.
Welcome back to NJBIA's Mind Your Business as we turn to an important nonprofit which has transformed lives through food for more than 35 years. Elijah's Promise harnesses the power of food to break the cycle of poverty, alleviate hunger, and change lives in many communities in central New Jersey. We spoke to Executive Director Michelle Wilson about how Elijah's Promise is living up to the promise to tackle food insecurity for the Garden State. Have a look. Michelle, thank you so much for being here. Elijah's Promise, tell the folks what it is right off the top.
Sure. So Elijah's Promise has been serving Central New Jersey since 1989, and our tagline is we use food to change lives, and we do that in a myriad of ways. Best known for our emergency food meals, serving over 400,000 free meals now throughout Middlesex County. We also have job training, social services, and really use the kitchen as a way to connect those in our community who need access to social service programs.
Okay, well, that's tremendous. So it's almost like, I see you guys call yourself a soup kitchen. It's so much more than that. It's like soup kitchen and nuts, right? I mean, it's like, like tell everybody like why it's soup kitchen on steroids. Tell people why.
Sure. So, we call ourselves a community soup kitchen, and it's really, if you think about your own family, right? Like you have these holiday events and you set up the whole house and everybody ends up in the kitchen.
Right.
And the same is similar with our work, right? So we are a kitchen, but we have all these other social service providers in bed with us. And we also bring people together over food. So, I've been in Elijah's Promise almost 20 years.
Okay.
And, we are an organization that would actually like to put ourselves out of business. But unfortunately, food insecurity keeps rising. And as it continues to rise, we have to find creative solutions for how we're going to get to our neighbors. And during COVID, we went mobile with a food truck that serves all of our central New Jersey. And that food truck really connected us to people who were, especially senior citizens, where we could get to them. It's set up in specific areas. And I think the piece is that you have to go to where people are, and that's what we've been doing. And in doing that, we're bringing social services and other much needed resources, hygiene kits, socks, everything that you might need with that to people. But it's really, I should say too, it's more than a meal, right? So we're providing the nourishment. We always say for the for the body and soul. And so we're trying to give people the other pieces that they need to access critical programs.
Okay, dumb question. Are when they go out on the truck, all the food, is it made in the kitchen and then delivered?
Yes.
And is it daily?
So we take the truck out 3 to 4 days a week.
Right.
The soup kitchen itself is open 6 days a week.
Okay.
And so it's a great question, actually, because when we designed our first truck, you could cook on the truck. And that was the intention of that. But we started doing so many meals that now all that food is prepared in our culinary school location, in that kitchen, and then it gets loaded onto the truck. So much of what we do, right? So we're serving over 400,000 free, nutritious, delicious meals, is done with volunteer labor, right? We do have a staff of very talented chefs who oversee these volunteers, but it takes, there are days that we have over 3,000 meals going out, and that is only really because of incredible volunteer power.
That's amazing. Yeah. And you mentioned the culinary school, and we talk about Elijah's Promise being more than just a soup kitchen. Yeah. It's a culinary school too. This is like unbelievable.
Yeah. So we have a state-approved job training program for over 20 years. We have over 1,000 graduates. And I should add too that Elijah's Promise, we're really fortunate to be part of a statewide community soup kitchen coalition. There are 9 community soup kitchen programs. And there is a lot of really amazing work going on in New Brunswick and Central New Jersey, but these partner agencies also do extraordinary work and offer similar kind of services. Unfortunately for all of us, we've seen the need grow tremendously, right? So when I look back at data from 10 years ago, when I look at the numbers in August, we were serving about 8,000 free meals a month. Yeah. We will be serving, last month we served over 35,000 free meals. And in the summer, when kids aren't in school, that number will grow. So I would expect when we see our numbers in July, it'll be over 35,000 again. And so there's just been real need. But that need, again, has been supported by just tremendous volunteer power and supporters.
Michelle, let's go with that, with the need. There's a video on your website that the first scene of it is people, a line waiting to get into the soup kitchen. Yeah. And it really strikes you because it's things sometimes you don't see. Yeah. And so why is the need growing? Is there any one particular reason, or is it a myriad of reasons?
I'd say it's a myriad of reasons. First, I think it's really important that a lot of people think that the only people served by community kitchens like ours are people maybe who are homeless or who have mental health issues. And that is a small segment, but the overwhelming majority of those we serve are the working poor. The biggest new need we saw during COVID was low-income seniors. Yeah, wow. I mean, if you just think about low-income seniors, right, they're on fixed incomes. And we've seen over the last, several years, right, the cost of housing has gone up, the cost of health expenses has gone up, and food inflation has really skyrocketed. And so you take all those pieces together, and that's the working poor that we're serving. And, we're a very data-driven organization, right? We try to be, as efficient and productive as we can, and that is a lot of looking at the numbers. And the biggest data source that we've looked at for a long time is the Analyst report in the state, which is, asset limited, income constrained employed, right? And it's the employee that we're seeing, and those numbers continue to grow. And I think the last piece of the food inflation really for a lot of people put them over the top, and we've seen a lot of new people coming to our truck and our doors. And I know the pantries and the other community kitchens are all in the same place, right? So everybody's seeing increased need at the same time while we're seeing federal cuts starting to come down. Yeah. And so
these are SNAP benefits, I guess.
There's SNAP benefits. There's other, when healthcare gets impacted, like Medicaid, like the cuts to Medicare and Medicaid. When all these different pieces of the puzzle come together, we often see at community kitchens those folks coming to us first, right? Because we're no questions asked. We try as hard as we can to connect our guests to the services they need on site. The truck is often paired with programs that are already maybe have some eligibility, but whoever we serve and whenever we do it, we always serve with the same core principles of dignity, respect, and compassion. That's how we want to feed our guests. We call them guests. And all the meals are prepared with love. That's our secret ingredient, is love and delicious food.
Very good. So I know one of the things there's a lot of innovation involved with Elijah's Promise. So we have some great things here on the table.
Yeah.
Let's explain the tomato jar. Tomato can here.
So, we're a small community-based organization, but we have a lot of big ideas. We've led first with, the culinary school, with some of the mobile meals that we're doing. But we were doing farm to table when it was really just coming out. And we've always had, people have always said to us over the years, what's one of the ways we can support Elijah's Promise? And one of the answers has been to support your local farmers.
Right.
Because we work so closely with our local farmers and we depend on them for so much donated produce and for all that they do. And for a long time, I've had this dream of creating our own marinara sauce because we use almost 1,000 cases a year of marinara in our kitchen.
Wow.
And we've got these wonderful farmers right down the street. And is there anything better than like a Jersey tomato?
Right.
And so we've wanted to do this for a long time. And recently, I met James Klett, who is co-owner of Fairgrown Farms in Hopewell, and is just an absolute powerhouse. And he also wanted to do this.
Right.
And so very quickly, we started talking, and I joke that our organizations got married after basically 2 dates because the tomatoes had to be planted, right? We had to get the tomatoes in. And so recently we planted with them, Fairgrown, and he's been amazing, 60,000 pounds of tomatoes.
60,000
And we are going to be creating cases of marinara sauce to put into the emergency food system. Wow. And this kind of number 10 can is very hard to come by through donations.
Right.
We don't get it very often.
Right.
And we never get marinara. So we're creating what we need. And I just want to definitely give a special appreciation. So this was a new idea that came together very quickly. And there is an initial expense in any business venture, right? There's the delta of what it would cost you to go shop at Sam's Club or to order a truck in, and what it would cost to partner with the farms. And our amazing friends at DevCo, the New Brunswick Development Corporation, who are as innovative as they come, we called and we said, look, we've got this delta and we really want to do this, and we only have a very short time before these tomatoes need to go into the ground, and can you help us out? And they came in with an implementation grant of $20,000.
Wow.
We will.
Good for you.
Yeah, no, and we're really excited. And then when people come to our kitchen, because a lot of times people want to donate these small cans, and we appreciate all donations, but really we need these big cans when you're cooking thousands of meals a day, and you can actually donate through the QR code, and in our kitchen you can donate the size cans that we need to make up the difference of what it costs for us to our $60,000 order with the farmer and with DevCo Games. So we're really excited, but we're really excited to show how this can be a model, right? The emergency food system.
Oh, that's interesting.
Really, we can do so much more when we partner with our farmers. It creates a model for how we can go forward in a time when there's going to be less. Right. So we believe we'll be facing far greater numbers of food insecure. Everybody's got a budget. You got to stretch that budget, and everybody has to be really creative and model new ideas. And we're excited about the Fair Promise marinara.
Ripe for success. And then last thing, these Promise cookies.
Yes.
What's the story? I could tell you I'm like any good website user. And I accept all cookies.
Okay, so we have this job training program for over 20 years, and we have an apprenticeship program for graduates of that. And we are known in town as making the greatest chocolate chip cookies you've ever had. And we say that, and people are like, oh, it's not. And then they taste them like, this is the greatest cookie. And we believe it is. And it is an apprenticeship program where people can buy our cookies. And we have corporate groups. We have people in the community who buy the cookies. And then those proceeds help pay for the stipends for an apprentice from our culinary school. And then we also gift the cookies, Cookie Love. So there could be a special veterans program or another community group in town who is doing an event and they need something. And so we'll provide the cookies. And so we've just really created this delicious product that people love. The only problem is now when I go places that I don't have the cookies, once people have them, they're like, when are you going to bring me more cookies, whatever. So so chocolate chip
cookies.
I
can't wait to try it. And thank you, Michelle, for being here and for everything that Elijah's Promised us. It's an amazing organization.
Oh, thank you so much for having us.
Okay. All right, thanks to Elijah's Promise Executive Director Michelle Wilson And thank you for joining us on NJBI's Mind Your Business. We'll see you next time.